Hi everybody, welcome back to the second episode of J. I am Adderley Fong and I'm here to explain a little bit about the Jeddah Formula 1 Grand Prix of 2022. So this Grand Prix was a successful one. Again, we saw a lot of intense racing, and on lap 16 in turn 27 we actually saw an accident which caused a safety car. And this involved a driver called Latifi and driving the Williams Racing Formula 1 car. So there were actually three things that happened as he took this corner, which ultimately led to his accident and his DNF for this race result. So normally we would see that going into turn 27, which is relatively straight braking, which then leads onto the main straight, you would see drivers move the brake bias 1 or 2% to the front. However, in this case, on this lap, Latifi did not. And being in a race situation where he was on harder tires with a relatively heavy fuel load, and the tires were probably not at their best condition, he was probably not at his optimum grip with his car. So he did not help himself by not changing the brake bias, and which ultimately caused his accident, I reckon. And so as we break it down, we're able to see that Latifi's coming into turn 27. He's braking as usual in a straight line, and all seems well. But as he starts to turn with trail braking, he's coming off the brake pressure and he's starting to apply the steering lock. And as he gets to about midpoint of the track, before he hits his apex, we can see that he straightens out his steering wheel a little bit. Being such a relatively new circuit and not very bumpy, this would indicate to me that it was an oversteer. And being on a corner entry, if he was oversteering, it would mean that the rear axle of the car was losing grip. This could be caused by two things. One, him turning too sharply, and two, probably because he was braking with too much pressure as he was turning in, which would cause the rears to lock up and ultimately be like a handbrake effect and cause the rear to be stepping outside, which would be an oversteer effect. So Latifi had to lift off the brakes. This would mean the car was not braking or decelerating as efficiently. So by the time he's fully off the brake and asking the car to turn at the apex, we can see that by this point he's about a foot and a half wide, and he isn't able to get his front left tire to step on the apex. And by this point, it would indicate to me that Latifi was probably oversped going into the corner. At the apex, he's probably 1 or 2K too quick, and so he's not able to hit his apex and go for his ultimate racing line. At this point, because he knows that the exit leads onto a main straight and that he should maximize his exit speed, he tries to get onto the throttle as soon as he can. However, the car is still in an understeering condition, and as he picks up the throttle, the weight moves from in the front, being used for turning, to start to move to the rear. And as this weight transfer moves towards the rear of the car would also move, because the car is turning at the same time towards the left, the weight would also move towards the right-hand side of the car, which would be outwards. So most of the weight would be focusing towards the rear right of the car. And at this point, because there's a vector of weight going towards the right, actually it rolls the car towards the right. And at the same time, because the car is connected, the chassis stiffness, it causes the front axle to roll as well onto the outer edge of the front tire. And since there is camber, this would ultimately take away from the camber, and this would increase the contact patch that the front right tire is making. And so as Latifi picks up throttle, this increases his front axle grip as well. And so suddenly the front overwhelms the rear, and the rear oversteers on the exit of the corner. And this is what we call an understeer-to-oversteer effect. And normally when the car changes balance like this, it happens really quickly. So Latifi was not able to react in this situation, and being street circuit with no runoff area, he was into the barrier. But it's good that Latifi was okay and unhurt from this incident. And that was the incident of Latifi's accident at lap 16, turn 27. Thank you for following, and I hope to be able to break down more driving and F1 news for you guys in the future. Thank you very much. I'm Adderley Fong. Till next time.